I now give the call to the honourable member for Hindmarsh.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, tonight I rise to convey to the House, on behalf of the many constituents in my electorate, their overwhelming desire for an immediate end to live exports. And many constituents have contacted me in the last few weeks since the footage appeared on ABC of those dreadful scenery that we saw on the TV. As I said, in the last 2 weeks I've received hundreds of emails from people across the electorate who are very angry, who are upset at seeing more footage emerge of animal cruelty overseas. They've written to me to express their frustration at seeing cattle in abattoirs overseas not only failing to be stunned, but actually being cut up while still alive. And this is a horrendous vision for any Australian who would have been viewing it. It was terrible to watch, and we can only imagine the pain and the suffering that those animals endured. And whilst we haven't yet confirmed the origin of those animals, the message was quite clear. You just can't guarantee Australian welfare standards in a country that isn't Australia. Mr Speaker, I think anyone who saw that footage would agree with me that it rightly horrified anyone that had viewed it. There's no excuse for that kind of cruelty, absolutely none whatsoever. And I'm glad that the Minister reacted swiftly by launching an investigation. And we spoke with the Minister's office, who confirmed that they had launched an investigation. But the frustrating thing is that if we didn't have live exports, there would be no such need for an investigation. Now, Mr Speaker, last year when the issue first arose, I was one of the first to call for the ban, as so was the member for Wills, who's sitting here in the chamber with me, and we did succeed. We succeeded in a temporary ban. But of course, they soon resumed again. Despite a lot of lobbying from myself and the member for Wills and many others from the Labor caucus members on this very issue. So, Mr Speaker, we now find ourselves in a distressing Groundhog Day situation. And I should point out, though, that there have been some improvements, and I'm very pleased that there have been, and I'm glad that the Minister has put them in place, because before we didn't have a way of tracking where the cattle had come from, and now we do with the new supply chain standards. This is no excuse, though, for the way that the animals are treated and the footage that we saw on the ABC a couple of weeks ago. Mr Speaker, there's also been improvements in aspects of the animals' welfare, but the fact remains that the only way, the absolute only way to guarantee the welfare of Australian animals is to keep them in Australia. And so I say it's time to bring our meat processing fully onshore. Let us turn a bad thing into a good thing, Mr Speaker. Let's stop exporting cattle and start processing them here in Australia and value-adding. Let's turn a basic product into a premium, value-added one. And let's do it not only because it makes absolute economic sense, but because it's the right thing to do, Mr Speaker. And I don't agree with those assessments that say a ban on live exports will mean we will put the cattle producers out of business. I don't believe that for one moment. I believe that just think about the opportunities, those opportunities that are fully onshore meat processing presents for jobs. It means more jobs, and for regional communities in regional areas. It'll mean more money staying in the local economy rather than going offshore. New Zealand has been able to do this, Mr Speaker. It'll be a big expansion in our chilled and frozen meat exports, which could open up new markets overseas. And, Mr Speaker, it will mean that Australians can also be satisfied that our animals are treated humanely when they're slaughtered here in Australia. Just last weekend, Minister Emerson, and we would have seen the reports in the Australian newspaper, where he was talking about the fantastic opportunities that exist in our agriculture industries that we have as a nation to become the world's food bowl, particularly in terms of the demand for meat and the value adding that is in front of us as a nation. He spoke about the increasing demand for beef and of lamb in China and in many other countries where the middle class is rapidly expanding and the appetite for animal protein continues to increase rapidly. So I think there's an opportunity here for us to ensure that the time is right to make this transition. It's up to us to seize this opportunity with both hands, and this message from my electorate and the wider community is crystal clear. End live exports now.